Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen here. The lines have been released for the Vols' biggest games of the year for 2023. We're also going to talk about the orange and white game coming up tomorrow. And let's get on into this. And I know you're thinking, what are we doing looking at lines and stuff about these games? Because I'm very interested in that. I want to know what the national media and all the folks in Vegas who make a living at knowing these numbers think of the Vols and these other teams that we're playing. So the three biggest games that the Vols will have this year will be Alabama, Georgia, and probably Florida. That happens to be the three games they have lines for already. The rest of the games will probably be favored, or at the very worst, it'll be sort of a even match. But these three games are going to probably dictate our season, and let's get into these. And we're going to start out with the Gators. And all you folks know, when it comes to the Gators, they are my nemesis. They are my Newman.
Hello, Newman.
Hello, Jerry.
Yep. They are definitely my Newman. So let's see how we're looking for the Florida game. So that game's going to be September 16th. They're thinking it's going to be at 3:30. Of course, it's to be determined. It'll have something to do with how each team does. But we are favored by almost a touchdown, 6.5 points. And I don't mind telling you, going to Gainesville and being favored by almost a touchdown is a really good feeling.
Well, you just never know when another beast might come down out of the forest. You understand, don't you, Thumbaloo?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving being favored going to Gainesville. That's kind of shocking because Florida at the Swamp is a very difficult game. Now, I fully expect Florida to be there ready with blood in their eyes, okay? They're going to give us everything they got. Their crowd's going to be going nuts. But I think we can beat them. I just flat out do. I think our offense is better. I think they have a quarterback problem down there. They're bringing in that kid, Graham Mertz, from Wisconsin, and he throws as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. So they've got a quarterback problem down there, and they might be able to solve it this spring by getting a transfer portal guy, or maybe they'll go with Graham Mertz or one of the other guys. But people are not feeling too good about their quarterback situation, and that's kind of an important position, to say the least. And we've got Joe Milton, who's showed up pretty darn well in that Clemson game, and we've got the number one recruit in the country, and Nico right behind him. So I feel like we're in a better position quarterback-wise and offensive strategy-wise and coaching-wise. The only thing they got going for them big time is the Swamp, and that's a very significant thing to have going for you. All right, the next game we're going to talk about is Bama, and we're playing there. We're playing in Tuscaloosa, and they are going to, do they want revenge? I mean, I'm telling you, they want revenge so bad they can't stand it. We've got bragging rights for a whole year, and I have enjoyed the first 6-7 months of it, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the 6 months. And if we get them again at Tuscaloosa, I don't know if they can handle it. I really don't. They're not used to losing. And you know how Coach Saban is about taking a loss. It doesn't go well. I mean, he wants rules changes over us. He's literally wants rules changes and doesn't want to play us every year, which just blows my mind. The guy's won 7 national titles, and he's worried about us. I like that. That suits me just fine. But they've got Alabama favored by 8.5. Look, at their home field, given their history, we're probably going to be one of the few teams that has a single-digit number attached to them because they're gunning for it this year. But I'll tell you what, don't be shocked if we give them a game and we pull off some miracle. Yeah, that Bama game's going to be tough. It might be a lot like this.
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
But I look forward to it. I love the fact that Bama's worried about us and they're angry and want revenge. That's how I want them. I want them every year wanting revenge against us. That suits me just fine. Now we're going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, and they are actually favored by a touchdown, 7.5 points, coming to Neyland Stadium. We will probably be one of the few teams that, again, are going to be in single digits as far as a spread, because I think this is a team that we could surprise and beat because it's at Neyland, And if Joe Milton has a really good game, I think we could beat them. You know, they don't have their quarterback situation squared away just yet. We'll see how that goes. I know they've got some real talent down there, and their defense will be ready to go. But our defense is going to be better this year, in my opinion. And if our offense stays similar to last year, we're going to give them a good game because the crowd's going to be on our side. And that makes a very big difference. I can tell you right now, Georgia's worried about one game this year, and it's going to Neyland and playing Tennessee. That's it. And by the way, the Georgia website, UGA Wire, says ESPN names Georgia's season-defining game for 2023. It says here it made it pretty easy for ESPN's Mark Schlabach to identify Georgia's November 18th visit to Tennessee as the Bulldogs' season-defining game. They've got an early game against Carolina and Auburn, but Tennessee is probably going to be the most difficult, and UT figures to be out for blood after the Bulldogs knocked off the then number 1 Volunteers, and you got that right. And I think this is going to be a really rough game, and I think both teams are going to go at it hard. And the game's probably going to be a lot like this. Yep, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I think it's going to be probably the game of the year for us. We need to beat Georgia. You know, we beat Alabama last year. If we could take Georgia down, the national champion, that would be outstanding. And now that we've covered those 3 big games and the odds and all that and who's favored, I want to talk a little bit about the orange and white game. Of course, that's tomorrow at, I believe it's 2:30. And if you want to watch it on TV, it's the SEC Network Plus live stream. And I think everybody wants to see how Joe Milton plays. They want to see how Nico plays too, and the defense and all of that. Now, it's always tough in a spring game. Usually somebody has a great game and everybody gets excited about them, and then by the fall, what happened? So it's easy to get a little bit ahead of yourself. But I want to see how the 2 quarterbacks play. I want to see how the defensive secondary holds up and kind of see what the linebackers are doing, the edge rushers, how our offensive line looks, you know, the kickers. I want to see it all, and I think it'll be very interesting, especially with people in the stands. You know, that always kind of changes things. I know there's been a lot of talk about having a spring game between an opponent, which I think would be a great idea. I don't think you should probably play somebody in the SEC. It should probably be some small team that could come in and compete, and, you know, they could make some money because you could charge for tickets. Would probably be a better showcase of what you've got in a real game, or at least some type of a game. Maybe you don't hit the quarterbacks or something, but everywhere else you play. So I think the players would enjoy it anyway. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I know there's a lot of talk about it. I think it'd be fun, and it'd be great for the crowd. And since, you know, pretty much everybody's getting paid nowadays, they're kind of professionals. So I don't think that would be that big a deal, and I think they'd like it. But anyway, I just wanted to cover those 3 games coming up in 2023 that they already have a line for. That's how much interest there is in those 3 games. And also talk a little bit about orange and white, and I'll be watching that, and I'll have an opinion on it. I have to work tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to go to the game.
Well, the world needs pitch diggers, too.
And that's kind of the way it is sometimes on Saturdays for me. Sometimes I just can't get away. But I will be trying to watch it on my TV every chance I get. And if I don't get to watch all of it, I'll watch it on highlights and stuff. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols and all the goings-ons. And if you've not subscribed, it's right here on the left. Just hit this little button. Just boop's all you got to do. Cost you nothing. Helps me out. I would appreciate it. And right over here is my most recent video. Be sure to check that out. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.